Iceland has become the first European country to issue COVID-19 vaccination certificates. The document allows vaccinated people to travel freely within the country. International travelers who arrive in Iceland don't have to spend time in quarantine if they can produce a similar document confirming they've been inoculated. Iceland expects to vaccinate a majority of adults by mid-2021. Several other European countries are also preparing their own so-called vaccination passports. The WHO is working on a vaccine certification program that could be rolled out globally. Now, the news does come with some concerns. Katrina Plomondon is an expert in health equity. She's an assistant professor at the University of British Columbia, Okanagan, and she joins us now from Kelowna to share her thoughts. Hi, Katrina. Thanks for being with us on Canada Tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So, what do you make of this? What's your reaction to hearing that Iceland is the first to do this?
Yeah, it was an interesting story to read today. I think that it's not the first time that we've heard this suggestion of an idea about having some sort of a passport or documentation as a tool to open up access to movement and travel in particular. Iceland has a lot of its industry is grounded in tourism, and so it's understandable that they would have interest in it, but I think it does raise some really complex questions about issues of equity and issues of fairness in terms of who has access to vaccine and what those travel documents actually do in terms of resolving some of the very profound inequities that the COVID pandemic has revealed in the last year.
Right. And I want to talk about that in a second, but let me ask first, is this something that you see Canada doing in the future, and should we?
I certainly think there will be some conversations and maybe some dinner table conversations about this in the days or weeks to come, but I'm not sure that this is really where Canada should be placing its attention right now. I think there's way bigger questions in front of Canadians, and over the last couple of weeks, the issue of vaccine has been really a pressing issue and a pretty hot topic. There's a lot of political pressure around vaccine distribution, and I think issues of equity and vaccine distribution are far more pressing than trying to figure out some sort of a digital document that might allow us to move a bit more freely. I think there are bigger questions that are going to take priority before this will be given too much attention here.
Right. To your point, here in Canada, we've seen delays of the vaccine, but in other parts of the country and other parts of the globe, rather, those concerns are even bigger. So how wide of a disparity is there between countries right now when it comes to vaccination?
Yeah, the disparity is tremendous. So the COVID pandemic over the last year has really revealed the depth of inequities both within countries and within populations where there is greater access to resources and wealth and power, and those that have less access. So within countries, those inequities are being amplified, but globally, they're amplified even more. So we have a current situation where the world's wealthiest countries currently have access to the vast majority of a scarce resource. So I think that using this sort of passport idea to open up what really is the kind of luxury side of travel shows the ways in which wealth can be used to circumnavigate the most difficult consequences of the pandemic. And in reality, tourism is an industry that employs millions of people, 2 million nearly in Canada. So it's not that this doesn't matter. It's just that focusing on opening travel for people who can afford to travel versus focusing on the working conditions or the policies and protections that are around those who are actually holding up the travel industry by virtue of being in the service industry as employees. It creates a greater divide between the haves and have-nots.
And are you concerned also about treating the vaccine as a sort of silver bullet? There are questions about its effectiveness, its efficacy.
Yeah, there's a lot of things we don't yet know about the vaccine. And so I think it might create a bit of a false confidence in terms of having vaccine. We don't have enough data, for example, yet to know whether having a vaccine reduces the risk of transmission. We only have very early emerging data out of Israel about this, and I think it's something that will be paid attention to closely over the months to come. But it doesn't answer or resolve all of the questions or respond to all of the reasons why there have been travel protections put in place in the first place.
Do you worry also about civil liberties, about people who maybe don't want to get vaccinated, and now this will put limits on their ability to move?
For sure. I think these kinds of issues raise very complex ethical and moral conundrums that aren't easily resolved. So not everybody will want a vaccine. We've heard some of people's hesitancy around getting vaccine. And I think that it warrants really careful consideration about how access to particular well, first of all, it's around access to the vaccine and who has access when, but then who has the right to refuse vaccine and whether that's going to restrict people's ability to move for essential purposes as well.
All right, Katrina Plomondon in Kelowna, BC. Thanks so much for sharing your insights with us here on Canada Tonight.
Thank you for your interest in equity.